Greetings and welcome back everybody to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the movie Weapons, or if you're German, you'd call it Waffens. I don't know why I know that. I just somehow do. But before we start talking about the movie, I did just want to really quick say thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. And if you're subscribed, thank you for that. If you haven't subscribed yet, feel free and do that. I do these reviews all the time. I also do other videos as well, but mostly as of late, I've been just doing reviews on movies and stuff like that. Feel free and like, comment, ring the bell or whatever these YouTubers want you to do, sell your soul to me, whatever you want to do. So we went and saw Weapons this last weekend, and I needed a couple days to kind of think about the movie because it is a movie that is very thought-provoking. There are things in the movie that really get you kind of just thinking a little bit. It's not, too uncommon for scary movies these days. I said this in my last reviews of like pretty much every scary movie I do, but like movies nowadays are more psychological. There's a lot more like psychological shit going on in them. They're deeper than they used to be when it comes to scary movies. And I'm not saying that this movie is a psychological horror movie. I don't think it really is, but it gives off those thought-provoking vibes, I would say. So going into this movie, just know I think it's going to make you think a little bit, like not about, it lays everything out for you pretty well. It is just a movie that kind of sticks with you a little bit. And that's a good thing about the movie. Before I completely dive into it, I just want everybody to know that I don't want you to feel like I'm going to spoil the movie at all. I'm not going to spoil the movie at all. Now, I will be going over a spoiler late in the video. So like I normally do with my reviews, if you've seen previous reviews, you already know how this goes. I will let you know as soon as I start spoiling something. And most of the time when I spoil something, it's to give deeper context. For example, in a Marvel movie, I like to tell you about the after credit scene because a lot of times there's implications about the after credit scenes that overall push the movies, this movie might be okay and the after credit scene made it great. Things like that can happen. So that is one of the reasons I'll be spoiling this movie, not because of an after credit scene, but because one of the things that I kind of wanted more of is a spoiler in this movie. So with that being said, I want you to go into this review vague, just like I was when I went and saw the movie. A thing with scary movies, a big problem nowadays in the industry is that they show too much shit in the preview. And for the most part, this movie does not do that. Like this movie barely shows anything. It really just gives you the idea. And then from there, you have to go see the movie to understand how it all plays out. And to be completely honest, if you've seen the trailer to this movie, I didn't really expect it to go the way that it went. I knew what it was about already from the trailer, but I didn't expect it to kind of evolve into what it ended up becoming. And that's saying a lot because normally, again, these movies are spoiled in the 2-3 minute trailer that they show before a movie normally. Now, if you look at that I Know Who You Fucking Blew Last Summer movie, that movie's trailer shows everything. And I haven't seen that movie. I've seen the original, of course, but I haven't seen the new I Know Who You Blew Last Summer, but I just saw the preview to it a couple days back and oh my God, it shows everything. So with that being said, this movie Weapons did not show that much in the trailers. In my opinion, at least, I don't know if there were a bunch of different trailers that came out after the movie came out spoiling things, but I highly doubt it. Considering this movie was made by Cregger, who is the creator of the movie Barbarian. He was also the writer and the director of Weapons as well. So this is technically his second scary movie. He's directed other things in the past, and we'll talk more about Zach in a little bit here. But as of right now, I did just want to say this guy's a really good horror filmmaker. Like his movies blend a lot of horror elements, a lot of suspense elements, and some humor in there as well, because I do think we're seeing a trend a lot of times with like directors that used to be comedic. At one time, like Zach Cregger, he used to be a part of Whitest Kids You Know, which is, I grew up on them. They were amazing, great skit comics. Jordan Peele, obviously from Key and Peele, he's really big now with his Get Out, Nope, and Us movies. These are movies that people put in high regards, and these are guys that people wouldn't have even thought could be behind these ideas. So with that being said, Zach Cregger definitely has proven that he is great at making scary movies, and he is supposed to be making the next Resident Evil live adaptation. I don't have much to say about that. All I know is he's a good director. I trust him now more than I did after Barbarian. And that's not saying I thought Barbarian was a bad movie. I unfortunately didn't get to review that movie on the channel. I was at the time kind of just taking a hiatus from YouTube. But Barbarian, loved it. I absolutely love that movie. And for the most part, it's very similar to Weapons. You can tell it's the same tone, similar to how you go and see a Quentin Tarantino movie. And there's always moments where you're like, oh yeah, that's Quentin Tarantino. Zach Cregger has done that with just his 2 movies now, where he has these trends that he makes in both of them. And it's really good. Like the storytelling, the humor at times, the fucked up nature of the movie. You know, there are things that are very like one-to-one from Barbarian to Weapons. Now, my problem with Barbarian, and I know we haven't talked about Weapons yet, and we're already 5 minutes into this, but my problem with Barbarian was the movie was outstanding. And then I felt like the ending fell flat. I'm not going to spoil that or anything because I do think it's a movie that people will like. But it did have a very just like kind of downer ending to it. Like I wasn't a big fan of the way it ended. I think Weapons is the complete opposite. I think what's crazy about Weapons is it does everything that Barbarian did wrong in the right way. So it's like, for example, the ending to Barbarian, lackluster. The ending to Weapons, very good. The beginning to Barbarian, the suspense leading up to the big reveal in the middle of the movie, crazy as hell. In Weapons, there is a suspense to build the movie up to that middle point, but the shock value isn't as crazy as Barbarian was, for example. So if you're looking for like, holy shit, shock value, I'd probably watch Barbarian. But if you're looking for something a little more just mystery, a little more creepy, I would say, I would probably go with Weapons. Both are great. I think they both mesh together perfectly. I think it's similar to how Jordan Peele's 3 movies are, where it's like, you might not like every single one of his trilogy so far, every single movie in his trilogy so far, but you have to admit there are tropes and there are things about each one that makes each one unique more so than the other. And if that makes sense to you, that's kind of how Weapons and Barbarian is, where it's like one does one thing great, the other doesn't do as good, but they mesh together as two really cohesive, really good movies. And that's not saying it's a prequel sequel type of thing. These are completely different movies, completely different things going on in each movie. Barbarian is more about just like a horror in like a B&B. Weapons is about a bunch of kids that go missing from a school, and they're all in the same class. 17, I believe, kids go missing, and then the one kid is still just at school, and he comes to school the next day and all of his classmates are gone. The movie follows the teacher, though. The teacher is Julia Garner. You would recognize her as the Silver Surfer from the new Fantastic Four. She was also in Ozark. She was the bitch that was like, you're gonna have to fucking kill me!
You're gonna have to fucking kill me!
She's that girl, and she's done really well to like bring herself up as an actress. Like, she has been very, very good. I never thought watching her as Ruth in Ozark, I didn't think she would ever lead a movie like Weapons, and I think she did a really good job. The other supporting actor in this movie is going to be Josh Brolin. Thanos himself is in this one. He's snapping away the competition here because he is fantastic in this movie. He's really, really good. He plays a dad of one of the kids that goes missing, and obviously, like I said, Julia Garner is the teacher that just recently started at the school and comes to school one day and all the kids are fucking gone. And then that's pretty much the premise of the movie. That's pretty much all the trailer gives you as well. This movie is deeper than just kids going missing. And this is another thing that I say in every horror film. Like every review I do for a horror movie, I'm going to say this every single time. Horror is subjective. Same with comedy. Like, some people might see something that's funny that another person's like, that's fucking stupid. Like, that's not funny to me. It's the same thing with horror. Things that scare me might not scare you. And, you know, the other way around as well. There's some things that you might be stupid terrified of that I am absolutely not scared of whatsoever. Weapons was a movie where the whole like main reasoning for things didn't scare me, I would say. Like, it's not something for me. It's not something that scares me. And that's what I'm going to be spoiling later in the movie or later in the review as well, what that main reasoning was. I do think that people who haven't seen the movie deserve to have this vague review kind of about the movie. And as I always do, if you don't, this whole review is just a bunch of tropes from me. If you don't want to hear a full-on review of this movie, I'll just tell you right now, 8.4. 8.4 out of 10. I think it's an 84%. I think this movie is really good. This is a movie I would definitely go and see in theaters, but it's not a movie that you have to see in theaters, if that makes sense. It's not bad. That doesn't mean like, oh my God, don't see this movie in theaters. This is a movie, it's worth seeing in theaters if you like seeing horror movies in theaters, but it's also a movie that you could turn off all the lights in your house and probably enjoy just as much. So when it comes down to it, 84%, cool movie. Thanks for watching. For the people who want to know a little bit more, though, about how I feel about the movie and you don't want this super vagueness to it, I will be spoiling the main thing about the movie at the end of this review. But for right now, know that I really like the movie. I really did. The first half of the movie is definitely like suspense. It's definitely like moments where I did cover my eyes where I was like, oh shit, just a couple times. There's this thing that Zach Cregger does with doors in movies where like he'll focus like straight on to a door, and the door will just kind of open on its own and then close on its own. And when it opens, it's just a dark room on the other side that you can't see through. So it's like he always has moments where it's like, oh my God, that door's going to open. That door's going to open. Oh no. And then, you know, something happens or something like that. But it's just the little things, like not having big suspense music when something crazy happens. That kind of like moment, those moments are what make great horror movies to me. The idea of it, the whole concept of like these kids just go missing one day. And it's not just the kids get kidnapped or anything. These kids, all 17 of them, walked out of their house at the same time at night, at the same moment, and they all ran straight out of their house, just running, you know, like just ran out of their house. It's like some Children of the Corn shit. And that right there, that scares me. Like the idea of kids going missing on their own accord scares me. Like obviously kids being kidnapped is scary too, but like the kids leaving the house at the same time, it's just such a mystery that's like really, really good at pulling you in. Cause this movie is majority a mystery movie. Once you get to that midway point and they reveal like kind of what's going on, it's still a mystery for how it's all going on, but it definitely has that Barbarian style right in the middle, cuts to black after you get the reveal. And then it kind of goes into other stuff that leads into that. And this movie does really well at being a movie like Pulp Fiction, kind of, where it goes from different perspectives. So the movie starts out, it's from the teacher's perspective. And then a couple days later, she meets Josh Brolin, and Josh Brolin and her have like an argument. And then right when the argument's at its climax, it goes back and it starts from Josh Brolin's perspective when the day started. And it kind of leads into him meeting up with her and yelling at her, having a problem with her. And it just, that's the kind of movie this is. So like every chapter is labeled as a character's name. And each character, they all kind of like converge into one major plot, you know what I mean? And it's very Pulp Fiction-y. It's very, very Pulp Fiction-y, I would say, but it does it really well. And like from a scary movie perspective and a mystery perspective, this is perfect because you as the audience gets to piece together through every single character's perspective. And there are moments where like it follows like a cop, like one of the cops that's like on the investigation to find the kids. It shows like what he's been doing while Julia Garner and Josh Brolin are over here doing their thing. And it's really cohesive and it works together really well. One of my problems with this movie though, I'm going to talk about in the spoiler section. One of the characters I really wish they would have given us a one of those chapters on, and they didn't. And I felt like having that character with a chapter would have kind of added maybe like 10-20 minutes to the movie, and it would have made me leave the theater going, I know everything now. Because there are some things that the movie leaves you with where it's like you gotta have to piece it together yourself. It's not like to the point where it doesn't tell you things. It's more so just a movie that like things happen and then you piece it together just by watching the movie pretty much. And some things are left out because it's like common sense in a way. But I do like seeing things happening on screen, if that makes sense. But all in all, this movie, the first half of it was definitely scary. Like there was definitely moments of like, oh, this is creepy as fuck. Things in the background where like, there's a part in the movie where like they walk into a house and like the way the camera is shot, there's like a hat, like a clothes or like a coat rack, and there's a hat on top of it. And like right when they walked in, I immediately looked at Adriana and I was like, that's a person. And she goes, I don't know. I think it's just a hat. And then boom, it's a person. And I was like, holy fuck, dude. Like, and it still shocked me, even though I knew it was a person too. So like the silhouette was creepy looking. Like it's just so, you know, it's not obvious that these things are going to scare you at times, but then sometimes it is. And like, it still catches you off guard. And it's just, I have to give it to Zach Cregger for being just a really, really well-structured horror creator now. Like you can just tell he knows exactly what he's doing. If you've seen Barbarian, you can tell he knows how to build a suspense. Like he knows how to build it up and really get your anxiety running a little bit for a big reveal. And this movie's very similar. It's very similar where like the first half of the movie, it's like, holy shit. And then it cuts right when you get the major thing that you're waiting for. And then it kind of goes back and it kind of builds a little bit again, but it's building off of what you now know from that major cut that just happened. So you'll understand once you see it, but like it's very jumbled at times, but it all makes sense going forward. It really does. So I would say this movie was really good though. I mean, everybody who was in it was really good. There was a lot of just good suspense. It was creepy. There was some good gore in this movie. Not a whole lot of gore, but there was still a good amount of gore where it was like, whoa, dude, like that's pretty fucked, you know? So there were definitely some moments that really had me like, wow, that's crazy as fuck. The way they're advertising the movie is really good too. Like they're advertising it as if like, you need to come and see it to see what's going on. You're like, we're not going to tell you. And I love that whole marketing scheme of it all. I like what they're doing. I think this is a very proper way to show how to build on a horror movie, like how to get people in theaters, how to get people sitting down to actually watch something without knowing everything about it already. And I think they're doing a great job with Zach Cregger's movies when it comes down to it. I think even Jordan Peele's movies do a really good job at not giving away too much, but the Zach Cregger movies so far, like both of his movies have been very vague, and they've been very like, come see it to believe it type shit. And like, it pays off. But yeah, all in all, I thought like Julia Garner was really good. The main two actors, Julia Garner and Josh Brolin, they both did very good. They're two characters I didn't really expect to be in a horror movie like this together, but they were, and they both did really well in my opinion. Also, there's a lot of like hints throughout the movie of like what the reveal is going to be. There's a lot of hints now that I think back to it. Now I want to see the movie again because there's so many little things. And it's just like my Fantastic Four review when I say that. Like I went and saw Fantastic Four for a second time and I was like, wow, there are so many Easter eggs in this movie. I think this movie is the exact same way. I think Weapons is very similar in a lot of ways when it comes to like, you got to go see this again. Go see this again. Now you know the real, you know what the big thing is. Now you need to look out for like hints at it. And this movie will pay off for people who do want to see it a second time. So that's why I do think when this movie goes to HBO, because Barbarian went to HBO, I assume this one's going to as well. When this movie comes to streaming sites, I'm assuming like a lot of people who already saw it are going to watch it again because it's not just a scary movie. It's an actual mystery. It's like a missing persons mystery kind of thing. Like I said, there's a bunch of kids that went missing at the same time in this town, and it's just kind of, you know, throws you right into it. And it does, it throws you into it the night after they all go missing pretty much. Like it throws you right into it. Like right when the movie starts, the narrator tells you kids went missing. No one knows why. Here we go. And like, that's pretty much where the movie takes off. And it's awesome. It's a fucking ride, man. And it's fucking awesome. So I definitely give it an 84% when it comes down to it. Adriana said an 8.2. I'm just gonna give it an 8.4 just because like, I think it's good. I would say Barbarian, even though Barbarian had a kind of bad ending in my opinion, I would say Barbarian's almost a 9 out of 10 just because I was more scared of what Barbarian pushed. I was more scared of that. Like the B&B thing scared me more. What was going on in that movie scared me more. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. With Weapons, the idea of kids going missing scares me. And maybe if I was a parent, it would scare me even more. But the idea of you know, what was actually behind it compared to Barbarian, I was just more scared of what Barbarian had to offer than what this movie had to offer. But I like the mystery and the all around just full on mystery tone of this movie more than I liked majority of Barbarian's entire like point. So if that makes sense, just know I love both movies. I think they're both amazing, and I can't wait for him to do a third movie that hopefully is something not Resident Evil. I just don't know what to expect from a Resident Evil movie anymore. If you know me, Resident Evil live adaptation movies I don't think they're ever going to happen. Not in the right way, at least. So I like to go on IMDb and I like to let you guys know what the budget was for the movie and how much the movie has made so far. Because a lot of times you can indicate how much success a movie is going to have and if there's going to be sequels, prequels, and stuff like that going forward. Really quick, when it comes to Weapons came out last Friday. Last Wednesday technically, but last Friday technically. The movie had a budget of $38 million, which you can add like another like probably like 15 million for marketing. So let's just say altogether, let's just say this movie had a 48 million. We'll just add 10 to it. Let's say this movie had a $48 million budget. It opened in the US at 55.5 million. That's US and Canada. Altogether, the movie has grossed $92 million since it came out. I checked this yesterday when I went to start filming this. I just got a little bit distracted and ended up not doing it. It was at 62 million. So this movie in like a 2-day span has made like $30 million on top of what it's already made. So Zach Cregger definitely has the formula down. He's already tripled the profit of the movie. That's not including the marketing, but we're probably going to see more movies from him. Definitely. Like we already know Resident Evil's coming out now in 2026 from him, but I think no matter what his name is attached to now, I think it's going to sell for people like myself, people that know who he is and also love his movies so far. With a little bit of context, I did want to say with Barbarian, for example, I didn't know this with Barbarian, but Barbarian had a $4.5 million budget. Add about $5 million to that for marketing, a $10 million budget. Barbarian made $45 million, and that's saying a lot for a movie from a debut director. I mean, he's not a debut director. He directed Miss March and like these other skit comedy stuff. But for a horror debut director, your idea has to be really good to make a lot of money on a low budget movie. And it seems like he knows how to sell movies. So with that being said, yeah, anything Zach Cregger makes at this point, I think you should go see. I think this guy knows what he's doing. Even if you're not a fan of like the Resident Evil movie that's going to come out, we'll see how that looks. But even if you don't really love the whole Resident Evil thing, I think he'll do a good job because he has passion. It's clear. That's the motto of this channel, man. Passion creates greatness. And I think Zach Cregger has a passion for horror films. I really do. I think he's got a passion for just filmmaking in general, but horror films more than anything. And really quick before I'm done with the review, I did just want to say that this movie, the idea of what it is, the thing I'm going to spoil in a little bit here, the idea of what it is isn't really a trope that's like used nowadays for a scary movie. You know, we've seen it before, but it's not often that a scary movie uses the trope that this movie uses as like the main reasoning for things. So it was very unique when it came down to it. And I appreciate that they went with the direction they went with this movie. There were also people that I noticed in comment sections all around talking about how they thought the humor kind of ruined the ending to this movie. I thought the humor that the movie did bring with it was subtle, and it had moments that just kind of caught you off guard with its humor, and I just kind of appreciated it. I mean, like there's a part in the movie where and this might be a spoiler, so I'm sorry if it is, click away. There's a part where a cop arrests this like homeless kid who's like starting trouble somewhere, and you know he's patting him down and everything. He's like, is there anything in your pockets that can stick me? Anything that can hurt me? Kid's like, I don't think so. And the cop starts reaching into his pockets and he gets stuck by a fucking needle. And the cop, and it's a shock to the audience because like it's a fucking needle. It's gross. He's like, and he like looks at his finger. He's like, oh fuck. And he starts like freaking out. And while he's freaking out, he's like, and then he just punches the fucking homeless guy, just knocks him the fuck out, just out of pure, I'm pissed right now type of vibes. And like that's the kind of shit that'll randomly happen in this movie. It's a good tone changer for a moment, but I can see why people think it's out of place, things like that. But you know, I like it. I think humor and horror have a very close connection to each other. So a lot of the people that are bitching about how the ending had like kind of like a funny, you know, type of vibe to it, I think it was. I think the whole theater was laughing at how the movie ended, but it was just, I don't know. It was fitting for how the movie played out. You got to watch the movie and kind of just feel the movie out to really enjoy that type of ending. And I personally enjoyed the ending. Thank you for watching the video. I appreciate it. Please feel free and like it and everything like that. I'm giving an 84%, but from this point on, I am going to spoil pretty much the main reveal of the movie and the ending in certain aspects. So be warned now. I'll put a timestamp to make sure you know that it's spoilers, but this is spoilers from here on. It might not last that long, but it is going to be spoilers. There are people out there, I'm sure, that are totally cool with hearing spoilers, even if they haven't seen a movie. That's fine. Here is the spoiler spot, though. Warning. So the big reveal of the movie, the big lead up to the middle of the movie is this old woman. Her name is Gladys. We find out that she came from out of town. She's a sick old woman who's dying. She came from out of town to live with these two people and their kid. And it turns out she's a witch. The reveal is that she's a witch, like straight up, she's a witch. And there's little hints to it too early in the movie. There's a part where like somebody spray paints the main character's like truck or a car or whatever, and they spray painted witch on it because the townsfolk do think that she had something, like the teacher Julia Garner had something to do with the kidnapping of the kids, and rightfully so. I mean, she's like a new teacher, she's kind of a drunk, she's got like a history of like kind of like being a little too close to kids. That's not saying she's like a pedo or anything, but she does have like a history of being a little too like, I don't know, like she'll give kids rides home and shit like that. She's not like a bad person, but she's, you know, there's some stuff to suspect. So a lot of people in the town think that she's like the person who took their kids, whatever, pretty much, because it's her whole classroom that goes missing pretty much. So you can understand why people feel the way they do about her. But somebody spray paints witch on the side of her car, and that's like a hint to the big reveal in the movie. I didn't even think about it at the time. When I was watching like the trailer to this movie, after watching Barbarian, I was like, okay, Barbarian's about like an actual inbred monster in the basement of this B&B. I thought this movie was gonna be about aliens. I thought like almost like that movie The Forgotten with Julianne Moore. I don't know if you guys have seen that. That's kind of an older movie. Not great, but it was a movie about aliens abducting people and wiping people's memories pretty much. I thought that was the case with this movie. My main things with this movie was I thought it was going to be aliens first off that took the kids, And I also thought it might be like a Children of the Corn thing. Like I thought like Zach Cregger might be going with like a new style of Children of the Corn where the kids like just went crazy, but like, or got possessed or something. But it turns out it's a witch. So like when I said in the earlier part of this review where I said like the trope that they use for this movie's reveal, like the whole witchcraft thing, I don't feel like that's used that often in scary movies anymore. Like Blair Witch is a clear and obvious one that did it. And I think Blair Witch was scary on its own because it was the first of its kind and it took place in like a forest and it was really tight. It was really tight and just like, ooh, somebody's watching us. And the witch in that wasn't the same type of witch that's in this movie. I mean, witches are witches and they're scary either way, I suppose. They don't scare me that much, but like some people might get scared of it. The witchcraft thing in Weapons is different than how it was in Blair Witch. In Blair Witch, like the witch was like stalking them in a way. In Weapons, this lady is like, they don't really tell you exactly why she does what she does, but she pretty much can like take a strand of your hair, wrap it up, or like any personal item. I think she can wrap it up in a twig. Like it's a part of her tree that she brings with her. She snaps the twig and it just like indoctrinates people. It like turns them into like just drooling zombies pretty much. And like when she snaps it for real, like they will go and rip somebody apart, like straight up. It shows them like killing people pretty much. It's pretty fucked. The whole witchcraft thing, it's kind of crazy and it's like, holy shit. And like, it makes sense why the movie's called Weapons because like she's kind of weaponizing people and kids. But I really expected the movie to kind of, if it was going to be about her taking over like people, because like slowly people would show up at the house looking for the kids and that's where she's at, and she would like take people over, like she takes over the cop, she takes over the homeless kid, you know, shit like that. I thought she was gonna build an army and like towards the end of the movie have like just the movie would end with her just trying to take over the whole town or something. That's kind of what I expected. It's not what we got, but I kind of thought like she was going to weaponize everybody. She was going to go against the main characters and like pretty much just take over the whole town or whatever. I thought she was, since they didn't tell us like, okay, does she like suck souls out of people when she possesses them to make herself young again? Like, how does this work? Because she is like a sick old lady. So like, it kind of makes you go, okay, well, is she like using the youth of the children to like rejuvenate herself? I think that's the case because there's a part in the movie where she hints that she thought that the two, the mom and the dad that she took over in the beginning of her beginning of the movie would have solved her cancer or whatever, but like they didn't really go into it that much. And that's kind of what I was saying about like how the movie's really vague in a way. So like you kind of have to like interpret it how you interpret it. And one of my things was like, I really thought they could have done a chapter for Gladys, like a prequel chapter where like it shows you what she was doing throughout the entire time, like from when she first became a witch all the way to now, because she's kind of just like a mystery character. She just shows up and she's supposed to be the aunt of these like two people, like the mom in like the family, like her aunt is this Gladys lady and she just shows up. And it's like, they even say like, I don't even really know her that well. She's just going to stay with us because she's not feeling well and she's a fucking family member. So it was like, it was one of those things where like, I think a little like chapter, a 10-minute chapter, like they did for everybody else, but for Gladys would have really tied the movie together really well. There is like this talk right now that there's going to be a prequel movie about Gladys. They're trying to really milk this movie because like I said, it did make a lot of money so far. I hope they don't do that. I think Zach Cregger movies are good as standalones. So I hope they don't make a prequel for Gladys. I really don't, just because it's not really necessary in my opinion. Though, like I said, I know it sounds kind of like contradictory because I said I wanted a little like prequel chapter. I only need like a 10 or 15 minute chapter to show how she uses her power. That's really it. Other than that, I don't need a full movie about her, which I think we're going to get one anyway, but regardless, the whole witchcraft thing doesn't really scare me that much though. And that was kind of a thing for me, was like, I wish we got a little more context into her to maybe scare me a little bit more. But the whole idea I thought was really unique. You don't see a lot of witchcraft type things going on in movies anymore. So I thought that was kind of cool to see, at least. It's something different that a lot of people of this generation don't really see too often anymore. Normally you only see like exorcist movies or like possession movies or like, monster movies, shit like that. So like this was definitely a different type of movie, which was kind of cool. Yeah, that was really all I wanted to talk about spoiler wise. I didn't want to like tell you everything about the movie, but that's like the main plot points of the movie. And like with the ending, a lot of people, like I said in the review already, like a lot of people thought the ending was too funny. Like there was too many funny moments. I mean, it is pretty cool. Like it's funny, like this whole movie, like you're trying to figure out what happened to these kids. And then like you find out that it's a witch that's indoctrinating people and like really fucking doing crazy shit behind the scenes. And then when it finally all starts going down, when the big climax of the movie is happening at the end, something happens where the kids end up turning on her, and they like, there's just a whole, like, it is stretched out pretty far. It's like a 5-minute scene at the end of like her being chased around the neighborhood by all of the kids. And like when they get to her, they fucking fuck her up, dude. And it's funny because the bitch is like running, and it turns into a comedic thing. She's running out of the house. She's running for her fucking life. Like she's like choking Josh Brolin out, I think. And then as soon as she hears the twig snap, like somebody possessed the kids, she goes, "Oh no." And then immediately you as the audience are like, "Oh shit." And the kids start chasing her, and she's just running out the door. She's running for her life. She's like a 90-year-old woman just running for her life. And she even like runs through random people's homes, like on some Austin Powers shit. Like she runs through people's homes and they're like, "What the hell?" And then a bunch of kids come storming through as well. There's a guy like mowing his lawn, and then he looks up and she's like, "Ah! Ah!" And the kids are just like chasing her and shit. So like, it's definitely funny, but it's like, I don't know, it works. The tone matches, in my opinion. Like, it works for me. Like I said in the review, like, it's like, humor is fine. You know, like when you end a movie like that, you're pretty much saying she gets what she fucking deserves type shit. And that's, I like that. I like the idea. You know, it works. So all in all, though, I really, really like this movie. I think you will too. Let me know what you guys think. Try not to spoil anything in the comments as always, but either way, thanks for watching, guys. Bye.
You